The power of movement, unlocking the benefits of exercise. Today, I aim to persuade you to try to incorporate physical activity into your life, not only for the benefits on physical health, but also for mental health. Researchers found that aerobic exercise performed 3 times a week for 45 minutes at moderate intensity can be a significantly more effective way to treat depression compared to therapy and medication. It can be incredibly challenging for people to incorporate exercise into their lives if they have a busy schedule. I will first discuss scientific evidence supporting the benefits of exercise. Then I will discuss some strategies for implementing physical activity into your life. We all know that exercise is good for your physical health, but I would like to talk about the emotional and mental aspects as well. In my research, I found that self-esteem and social anxiety can serve not only as separate mediators of the associations between physical activity and mental health, but also as a chain mediator of the association between physical and mental health. Physical activity has many other benefits, such as stress relief, a sense of purpose, motivation, improved cognitive abilities, and more. Working out is healthy, but too much activity can lead to overuse injuries such as muscle strains and stress factors. So it's important to listen to your body and know when to stop and know when you've gone too far. There is also a significant link between physical activity participation and a reduced risk of depression. There was a study by Sports Medicine Open that compared the 3 groups, one that had light to moderate exercise, one that had vigorous exercise, and one that never exercised. And when comparing the groups that had exercise to the groups that never exercised, there was a lower incident ratio rate of depression. So, they also found that physical activity of any intensity and frequency was associated with a protective factor against depression. A study on exercise that is performed during the transitionary period between early adolescence and adulthood shows that sticking to physical activity guidelines or increasing exercise over time is strongly associated with better health and well-being in young adults. Certain groups such as females, low self-efficacy, higher screen time, lower socioeconomic status may benefit from targeted approaches to exercise. The study showed that long-term exercise participation in this period may be associated with measurable benefits of health and mental health in young adults. Another study focusing on the effects of physical activity and the odds of coronary heart disease highlights the importance of combating sedentary behaviors and engaging in regularly, easily accessible physical activity to reduce the odds of coronary heart disease. And this study was among aging women. There are many ways to get active in a busy life. One way is to exercise throughout blocks in a day, so 5 to 30 minute blocks. So you could do, I have 5 minutes here, I'm gonna exercise, and while I'm on break or whatever, or it could be up to 30 minutes, and that works too. And so splitting that into blocks makes it much more manageable for the average person. And combine your physical activity with something you already do. So if your apartment is on the 10th floor, instead of using the elevator, you could always walk. Or if that's too difficult, you could always just incorporate, walking to your office or walking to school, stuff like that. Another thing is do a workout at home during, the morning or night. If you have work during the day, before you go to work, you can do a quick workout or when you get home. And it doesn't have to be long either. Any activity is better than none. And think about whether you need to take the car, whether you could walk or ride a bike instead. And you can also multitask. While you're watching TV, you can go on the treadmill, you can do some push-ups, playing video games, in between rounds, you can, do a quick workout. For parents, this is especially important, and there are many ways that they can do this. For one, you can plan activities and holidays that involve physical activity. And one example of this is even going to the zoo. You're walking around, you're going to all the exhibits, and that is a really good way to incorporate that physical activity in something where the whole family is involved and it's not out of the way. You can also walk your kids to school, like I mentioned earlier, and getting kids involved in the garden is another fun one, I think. And if you're busy at work, you can go for a walk during lunch, use the stairs instead of an elevator, like I said. You can get a standing desk, which It's not super physical, but it does incorporate standing instead of just sitting for hours and hours at a time. And yeah, so let's do a quick recap of what was said. Here I have a visual aid for you on the benefits of exercise on mental health, which I found online. I thought was very cool. And I also do realize that this is inverted for the camera, so I will explain each thing. So up here we have increased well-being. Here we have reduced stress levels, increased energy levels, boost brain power, reduced depression, increased confidence, as well as reduced anxiety, increased mood, increased self-esteem, and improved sleep. And I thought that this image of a brain with all the activity around it was a great example. Physical activity can have a profound effect on not only physical health, but emotional and mental health as well. And many studies show that physical health can decrease the risk of depression, the risk of social anxiety, and even many chronic illnesses. So that's amazing. Physical activity can be especially important in transitionary life periods, such as from early adolescence to adulthood, like was mentioned before. And this is because during this period, you tend to build habits and routines, which then can be implemented later in life, which will make it a lot easier to keep those habits. In conclusion, the evidence is clear. Exercise is not only good for our bodies, but also our minds. Let's commit to include more movement into our lives. I encourage you to set aside a little time today to exercise and strengthen your body, as well as your brain. Thank you. I will also answer some questions about this speech. So the first question was that I mentioned that exercise can be more effective than medication or therapy in treating depression. Can I elaborate on how exercise affects mental health in comparison to other treatments? So yes, exercise has been shown to release endorphins, which are chemicals in the brain that act as natural painkillers and mood elevators. Additionally, regular physical activity can help reduce levels of stress hormones in the body, such as cortisol, and promotes the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin, which are associated with the feelings of well-being and happiness. So while medication and therapy are important treatment options for depression, exercise offers a holistic approach that addresses both the physical and psychological aspects of mental health. And I'm not saying that you should not go to therapy or use medication. This is just what one study showed, and I think that is a great option for many people who may not get the same benefits for the other options. And another question was, I mentioned the importance of listening to your body and avoiding overuse of injuries, and how can individuals strike a balance between pushing themselves during exercise and preventing injury? And so the answer to that would be finding the right balance between pushing yourself and avoiding injury is key to a sustainable and long-lasting exercise routine. So it's important to start gradually and not push yourself past the point of injury. And progressively increasing the intensity and the duration of your exercise is crucial in preventing injuries. So just feeling your body and knowing what works for you is important. Starting slow and starting light is perfect, because then your body has time to adjust, and then you learn what feels good for you. And another question was that certain groups may benefit from targeted approaches to exercise. Can I elaborate on what these targeted approaches may entail? So yes, targeted approaches to exercise involve tailoring physical activity recommendations to certain groups. For example, individuals with low self-efficacy may benefit from starting with achievable goals and gradually increasing the difficulty of their workouts as they build confidence and competence. And similarly, incorporating physical activity into daily routines, such as walking or biking or some sort of physical activity like that. This can particularly be beneficial for individuals with limited access to traditional exercises or facilities. And by identifying and addressing the unique barriers to exercise faced by different groups, we can better support their efforts to improve their health and well-being through physical activity. There's one more question. Your speech outlined various strategies for incorporating physical activity into a busy lifestyle. Are there any additional tips I would recommend for individuals struggling to find time for exercise? And my response to this would be absolutely. In addition to the strategies I mentioned in my speech, such as breaking up workouts into shorter sessions throughout the day, and there are several other approaches that you can take to make physical activity a priority. For example, scheduling workouts in advance and treating them like any other important appointment can help ensure that they don't get overlooked or pushed aside when having a busy schedule. And finding exercise that are really enjoyable, that you want to do, that are engaging, can make it way easier to stay motivated and committed to doing that physical activity. Whether it's like dancing or hiking or playing sports with friends, finding activities that can bring joy and satisfaction to your life can make a exercise much more sustainable, it can make you much more willing to do that exercise and commit to it long term. So yeah, those were my questions. Thank you.